Hi, here's Rob again, and I've got the long promised, waited for comparison of the PE90, that's the civil version of the Stgw 90, and a real army Stgw 90, otherwise known as the SIG 550, so it's the private against the military versions. And so during the course of this I'll be disappearing off screen and zooming in on bits and pieces. But I think in my last video called Special Day I talked about this one, or showed you this one, which is the one belonging to the club, and told you that I was going to get this one here, the one that's behind, which is the army one. So let me just take you through some items of the private one first, the club-owned one, and then we'll move on to the army one and compare the two. So I'll see you in a second. Okay, so here's the first view of the red one. The club-owned one, and you can see the it's very nice, still very nice bluing on the black metal parts. However, here is rather cleaned up and shiny, with which is the gas tube and the regulator. And looking down here at the leg, it's bipod leg. Apart from the fact that it's covered in red, let me just pan down a little second, or pan out even. Pan down, there we go. What's unusual about this is this is an aftermarket. This is an aftermarket model with adjustable length bipod legs. In Switzerland, many gun shops carry this item, but it is a horrendous price, being around $200 just for this little piece here, and not specifically sturdy or anything. It's really made for the hobby shooter who wants to be able to raise or lower, depending on the lie of the land, the front part of the gun. The civil model, as you can see, still is fitted with the bayonet lug. That's this part here, which theoretically is wouldn't be necessary, since you never get the bayonet with the PE90 in commerce, in shops. Following on, this is the where the gas is taken off the barrel and forced down the gas tube. There is also, you can see, is a lug here for, you can't see, I can take that a little bit up. There's a lug here which is where the rifle sling would attach to, but again on the private property model, the PE90, you don't get a rifle sling. Going up one is the night sight, which you can see here. It's in the day position, and the night position would be that. It's got a SIG light tritium spot on the inside of it. Then of course there's the plastic covers, which are in halves, two halves, and they come off relatively easily. Then let's move down. So having moved down, we can see that here's the 20 round magazine, which is the standard size in most uses. The Army, I think, has 30, and you can see that there are these two like connectors, cups here, and on the other side there are these like pins, and of course you can connect several together. So you can carry, when the gun is loaded, you could carry 60 rounds clearly next to each other. Coming down a little bit further, and let's try and zoom in for this. So still zooming. There we go. Just on the edge of the screen we've got safe, which is the position we're in at the moment, and single fire, which is this position. You can see there's a white dot here, which corresponds to the Army model. Can you see that? No, you can't. Let's zoom out. There we go. So the Army model also has a white dot here, safe and single shot. But you can see there's something a little bit different here, and I'll go into that later. So going on up, we've got the diopter, and probably I'm going to have to zoom in on this so that you can see exactly what's going on there. Excuse the shaking. So this is still the private model, and this is the turret of the rear sights. The 3 means 300 yards, or 300 meters I should say. Then as you rotate it round, it goes to 2 and 1, so you can adjust it for 100 meters, 200 meters, 300 meters. But currently you can see this rather strange thing here, and this is an aftermarket diopter with an iris. The iris is adjusted here, so you can close it. Close it is fully this way, and open it is fully that way, and that helps you focus on the front sight post, which is on the of course at the front end, the sharp end of the rifle. Here is another place to anchor on the sight block, which is fixed or welded to the top cover here. There is another lug for the rifle sling, and this is very common on privately owned PE90s to fit one of these. This is at least $125 or Swiss francs, more or less the same thing. So you can see that on top of the standard price of these, which is around $3,500, somebody from the club has spent $200 on the aftermarket bipod and $150 or $125 on this iris at the back here. So I think going on down, that's more or less it really for the PE90. Perhaps panning out a little bit, you can see that it's marked in nice shiny silver letters with PE, and then the unit number or the weapon number. And here is the test mark where it's been shown that it's been pressure tested before they're allowed to be enter into circulation. So that's probably about it. One last curiosity. this is probably going to be difficult to get a gloved hand into, and so for winter you can swing this out of the way and operate that from below. I'll just pan out a little bit more and you'll be able to see that somewhat better. So there we go. That's the winter position of the trigger guard. That's the normal position of the trigger guard. So I think that's about it for the PE90. And what we can do now is get that one out of the way and look at the Stgw 90, which is sitting behind it. Let's try and put this somewhere where it won't fall over. There we go. Take this out of the way and bring this somewhat to the fore. So let's pan out, or zoom out and pan to the front. There we go. So it's difficult to notice, but this is far more dark and matte, this regulator here, than it was on the privately owned one. Similarly, the bluing has had rather a hard life, as it looks like, having been given I think a rough time by the Swiss soldiers who've had it. Meanwhile, you can see the Army issue cleaning kit in the background. That's this thing. And this is as all soldiers are fitted with, or are equipped with. There we go. And has a whole series of brushes and handles and more brushes and little pots of grease. And it's my intention to do a little expose on this cleaning kit. I also have one from a Stgw 57, and we can have a look and see what the difference between those two is. Anyway, back to the Stgw 90, the Stgw 90. While we're looking at it, let me take the kit out of the way. Cleaning kit. We can see that this has the original bipod on it, and the original bipod fits much nicer into the handle. Anyway, you can see it sits pretty flush here, just where you would hold it, whereas the aftermarket one doesn't fit as nicely. And of course, as you know, or probably now you know, this rotates according to the lie of the land, so you can get your shot straight. Up here, of course, which is something that you don't get on the private one, is the Army. On the Army one you get the sling, which I think is quite useful. Some people like to shoot with a sling, and I always felt that it was also a good idea. On this issue one, also a standard 20 round magazine, and slowly we're getting to the interesting part. So I mentioned this white spot, which has to be visible if you go into a public shooting range, especially for obligatory shooting or for field shooting, which are the two national shooting events in Switzerland. this white spot has to be visible. We're on safe currently, and single shot is the other position. That would be there. But I don't know if you could see this. No, it's a bit small, but let's zoom in on this. We've got, let's zoom in much bigger. There we go. So, that's rather an intriguing number 20 here. And 20, as you remember, is the capacity of one of those magazines. So this 20 corresponds to full auto, but there is another mode as well. So let's go back to safe. I'll zoom out while we take this, and I'll show you how we get to that setting. So now I have to take one of these takedown pins. What I'm doing is pressing from the side, and there are two little catches which disappear, and so I can push this through and pull it until it's through to the other side. Now the rifle the upper and the lower will come apart, and you can see I can rotate this so that it's showing completely a different position. And if I rotate it like this, you can see that I've got all those positions available. So this is I've covered the white spot. Can we zoom in on that maybe? So I've covered the white spot. This is the military configuration, which is not suitable for using on a public range. So I've got safe, 1 shot, 3 shots, and then there's this full auto mode, which is here. Okay, so this is the main difference between the PE90 and the Stgw 90 as used in the Swiss Army. So that's full auto, 3-shot burst, single shot, and safe. And I'm not allowed, because I'm not in the army, I'm not allowed to use the burst or the full auto mode. I'm only allowed to use single shot mode. But I thought you'd find that quite interesting to see how that is achieved. It's a fairly painless changeover. There we go, back to civil mode. And I thought you might find that rather interesting. So let's come back one and have a look at the sight. See if we can position you a bit nearer the sight to have that. There, let's turn it over. There we go. So let's zoom in on this, and we can talk about the sight. So as you can see, the sight is a strange kind of cylindrical affair, and it rotates, as you can see. This is night mode. Here I have 2 SIG light tritium spots, which when I've got the night light, the night setting on the front post is again aligned, I think, for 100, if my memory serves me correctly, 100 meters. Anyway, this is the 300 meter setting, and there is a little iris or a little screw in here which is hollow, so I'm actually looking through a hollow screw, and it's this which is removed by people when they want to fit an adjustable iris. So, and this is the 200 meter setting, sorry, 3, that's another 3, this is a 2, and this is the 1. So the 1 is the hole in the front, same as the night setting. So the night setting is 100 meters. So let's go back to 3 with the little removable bit. There we go. Okay, so that's how the sights work on the SIG 550 or the Stgw 90. And here you've got the adjustment. If your shot is low, then you need to turn the screw clockwise. If the shot is high, you need to turn it anti-clockwise. And similarly, there's this screw on the side with a similar idiot's guide to how to adjust it. Yeah, I think that's as good as we can get on that particular point. Let's zoom out, and then I could show you the folding mechanism, which I think you suspected. If you catch the train in Switzerland on any work day, more or less, you're almost certainly bound to see a soldier carrying his weapon. He will have the stock back like this, and he'll also have no magazine in it, which is the way that the weapon is carried in public. Of course, the no bipod deployed. So that's one aspect, and then I'd like to show you the pistol grip. So let's see if we can turn this back this way. There we go. I think I'm going to lay it down. So the pistol grip, can you see that? Let's have a look. Yes, I think so. The pistol grip is able to be slid out, which we're just going to do here. It's a little bit of a fiddle. There we go. And it has a little piece of card in it. Can you see that? Normally you would write your name on the piece of card so that your weapon doesn't get lost, or somebody knows that they're taking the wrong one if it's not their name in it. Inside the handle is this loading device, and this is used. This one is a one suited for the plastic loading strips of the Swiss 5.56 NATO round. There is a different loader used for the NATO metal strips for the 5.56 round, but this one is for the plastic strips. And so you just sit this on top of the magazine, which I will attempt to do one-handedly. That's going to be tricky. Let's try this. There we go. And so then you can just put this strip in here and push down on the rounds, and in they go. It takes about 2 pushes to get all 20 in, and it's relatively quick as well. So there you go. And that normally lives, that loading aid normally lives in the handle. And other things that people tend to keep in the handle are the little screw with a hole in it, which is in the 300 meter sight position, in case they put an iris in there. So that pops back and makes sure that we can see. At the moment there's no name on there. Can you see that? It's a little bit dark, but normally you would write your name on that piece of card and have it show through like this, so with some thick marker or something. So there you go. So I think that's a quick overview of the main difference between the PE90 and the Sturmgewehr 90 as they are used by the Swiss Army. You can just see this. This is a red sticker which says 2018, so 2018. It says in French soumis au contrôle, or Kontrollpflicht. That means it must be checked in 2018. So this one, which is on loan from the army, as you have gathered by now, I will have to take for inspection and have it inspected by the army. Okay, maybe something else. I don't know if we can see this. Can we see this? Yes, just here. This is a kind of a V-shaped dovetail here, and opposite it in the sight housing here is a circular hole. I don't know if you can see that. Let's bring the camera down a bit. So, do you see this small hole in the front of the sight housing? That's used in conjunction with the dovetail I was talking about, which is this thing here, to mount various, for example, a Picatinny rail you can have, which here is spring-loaded, so you push it in here and then just slide it over the front here. So that's a Picatinny rail. You can fit a scope. There are various options available for. I think the Swiss Special Forces have a shorter version. I think it's the 553 of the whole rifle. Plus here some kind of quickly aimable scope, or a red dot sight. I don't remember which. So that's how one fixes a scope to such a Sturmgewehr 90, and what we use this for in the club is for a brass deflector, so that when we're firing, the brass doesn't fly everywhere and goes hopefully into the nearest brass bin. But I thought you might find that an interesting little point. Okay, so I think that more or less wraps it up for this Army Sturmgewehr 90. And let's go back to having a chat. Okay, so I think that was a quick introduction into the most superficial, or let's say even the fundamental differences between this Sturmgewehr 90, the Army one, with its single shot, safe single shot, 3-shot and 20, labeled 20 full auto mode, and the civil single shot semi-automatic PE90. The PE90 will be going back to the club as soon as they are back from summer break, and this one I will be able to keep as long as I keep shooting enough. I have to shoot at least 2 obligatory and 2 field shootings every 3 years with this one, and then I'll be allowed to keep it. The Army, or the MOD, keeps track of that and will recall it if I don't shoot often enough. I also have to take it, as I mentioned, for inspection, make sure I've cleaned it correctly in 2018. So they have confidence that it'll survive without cleaning until 2018, obviously. Yeah, I think those are the main differences. On this, it's got the club one has the private bipod. It has the iris, the special little hole that opens and closes, instead of the screw with a hole in it. This one has the screw in the hole with the hole in it. The club one did not come with the magazine loader. I bought one myself. And the club one did also not come with the cleaning kit. I bought my own. But apart from that, it's very gratifying to see that the setting that I've got the adjustable bipod on the club one is pretty exactly the same length that the standard Stgw comes with. So I don't feel any need to go out and spend $200 on an adjustable bipod, since this one seems to be just the right height. So that's rather pleasing. Okay, so thanks for watching. You know, all the usual stuff. If you like it. If you haven't already, then please subscribe. And keep on looking, because I'm going to be bringing you more stuff. Okay, thanks very much. Bye now.